Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Alluded to just a few moments ago, nobody can predict the future of 5G with absolute certainty. But there is an industry wish list that we are working towards. So naturally, the next question becomes, what will make that industry wish list a reality? Our reality. To address this very topic, I'd like to now please invite on stage the CEO of Vodafone Idea Limited, incidentally now India's largest telecom operator, Balesh Sharma. And it's worth mentioning that this is his very first media appearance as head of this newly merged entity. So please join me in extending him a very warm round of applause.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A matter of, thank you, that's the technology I get handed over. Proud privilege to be here, also relieved to be here. Why do I say this? Proud I am, proud all of you should be, and I'm sure you are. 23 years of telephony here in India, and I've been there for all those 23 years. Everything that we see changing around ourselves, we, the people in this room, have had a role to play. We're not selling addiction. We're not selling products that could be detrimental to anybody's health. We're not selling. We are truly connecting the world. We are truly connecting our country. We're truly connecting everybody in every nook and corner of the country. Oftentimes we forget that all the apps and all the over-the-head, over-the-top transmissions that you see about would not exist had we not existed as the connecting layer, as the glue, to bring the world to a customer. So really proud to be a part of this industry, one. Two, proud to be the founding CEO of a phenomena that's just beginning to happen 19 days ago. We're as young as that, Vodafone Idea Limited. Privileged to be here because it generally is a privilege to talk to an august audience like yourselves on a subject that matters, on a subject that will decide where India stands in the betting order, in the rankings, in the world, 5 years, 7 years from now. 5G is critical, 5G is important, and therefore, privileged to be talking to this audience on that. Relieved for two reasons. One, finally, Vodafone Idea Limited has taken shape. We managed to pass what we favoritely called the day zero. And the internal joke lately had been Shunya ki khoj. Bahut lambi chali. Lekin finally, we are on this side of it. The Shunya is behind us. And we are now into rubber hits the road, action time as a company. So yeah, very relieved to be on this side of the day zero. Relieved also with another little personal fact. So 7 years of being outside the country, I had gotten used to an interpreter standing next to me. Every sentence I spoke, I must wait for him or her to translate that into Czech or into Maltese to be able to get across to my larger audience or to my field teams or to a forum like this or when I met the ministers or the secretaries. So relieved that that is behind. I can now speak to all of you in a language that both of us understand, into many languages that both of us understand typically. So very, very happy on that. Quickly moving on then. So a minute on Vodafone Idea Limited, this being the first media appearance, as the lovely lady said. And thank you, TK, for making this happen. It is genuinely huge. It is the making of a huge operating company. Whichever KPI or whichever measure you look at, we are large. We are very, very big. We want to use this bigness to convert to a strength, to keep our customers smiling forevermore. The bigness we talk about, customer market share, huge. We are the third largest nation in the world. 408 million is larger than the population of the third largest country. So we are the third largest nation in the world. We've got 340,000 base stations beaming. We've got 1,850 megahertz of spectrum with us in the kitty of Vodafone Idea together. We got about 235,000 kilometers of fiber. I remember having written the business case for first kilometer of fiber for my then company in Gujarat, Faisal. And I had a tough time explaining to Shinawatra and HFCL and Hindujas, the then owners, and Bezek of Israel, on why would this industry ever need fiber. So from there to now, 235,000 kilometers of fiber, we've come a long way. We've got 200,000 enterprise customers, customers of all hues and colors and shades and sizes are with us now. Huge retail touchpoint presence, huge branded presence, 15,000 exclusive branded stores for us. We've got 200,000 plus unique GSM sites, actually 273,000, but we know as integration proceeds, we'll be bringing that down, make it more efficient, but more larger, much more capacity. And huge enhanced coverage and capacity coming up. So that is Vodafone Idea Limited, India's largest telecom service provider to champion the digital India. Moving on to 5G and our 5G expertise that we're building. Vodafone has, in the month of August, launched a commercial operation of 5G in Lesotho, a small nation in the midst of South Africa, surrounded by South Africa. We've delivered speeds in reality of 706 Mbps. We've delivered latency of below 9 milliseconds. That's not just limited to Africa. Vodafone has been having its research lab on 5G for over 5 years in the Dresden University, full of action, participating in the standardization or standard creation of 5G. So making it happen right from writing the norms. We are in it deeply involved. We've already acquired spectrums for 5G in many countries. Spain and UK come top of mind, but many more. We are on to the same happening now in Italy, and the trials are, of course, on not just in Italy, but world over. So we are at the cutting edge. We are making 5G happen. We're not taking any backseat on that. When you move closer to India, Vodafone Idea Limited is all set, getting set for 5G. The 5G is not going to be a revolution. It is going to be an evolution. It is not going to be an overlay technology, but a tandem technology. It's technology of technologies, as we know, which means it's going to make multiple technologies and multiple kinds of interconnects happen. 4G and Wi-Fi networks that we are creating today are the foundation for 5G to happen. It's going to interconnect device to device, it's going to create meshes, but for all that to happen, we need to get all the building blocks in place, and we are doing that. Vodafone Idea Limited, the latest, the newest kid of the block, obviously will be, therefore, now launching newer technologies. And in technology, the later you buy, the better you buy. iPhone 5 versus iPhone 7, iPhone 7 versus iPhone X. The next generation, specifically the second next generation, typically comes with a lot more features. I now create a whole new network integrated across the country. When I do that with partners like Nokia, Huawei, ZTE, and Ericsson, and of course, going deeper in with partners like Qualcomm, we are creating all new technology, and that already has and will have a lot more of the stuff written here, which are, as I said, the building blocks. Carrier aggregation, small cells. It's not going to be possible to create that kind of 5G speeds, 5G capacities, and more importantly, 5G latency by using the traditional masts or limiting to traditional masts. A lot more of dense small cell deployment has to happen. We're busy doing that. A lot more of cloudification of apps has to happen. We're busy doing that. Gopal talked about massive MIMO 64 by 64. We are already deploying a hell lot of that. And with passing of coming quarters, as we integrate, we will go much deeper onto a massive MIMO, which is clearly a 5G technology being brought into 4G. We are one of the, even within Vodafone world, Vodafone Idea or Vodafone India until last month, is one of the most advanced on virtualization of network. The whole physical network, or most elements of it, need to get virtualized, need to get on the edge. We're doing that. We're bringing latency ratios lower by doing all this already. Narrowband IoT, working on it. But All this are the building blocks. All this is required for 5G to happen. 5G is not some button that we press someday, or Mr. Minister and Madam Secretary releases some spectrum and 5G, voila, will happen. It is not going to be. We need all this to happen before 5G really happens. And we are well on our way in making all that happen. Narrowband IoT, a little anecdote though, and also pretty relevant to what Gopal was saying, or TK was saying earlier. So I was leading Vodafone in the Czech Republic for about 3.5, 4 years. And in one of these early brainwave sessions, good 4 years ago, I said, we must have NB-IoT across our little nation of 10 million people. And within 12 months of that, we did create a narrowband IoT network across the country. I still sit on their board. I don't get the time to go that often, but last board I attended was about now 8, 9 months ago, which was 1.5 years of having an NB-IoT network across that country. How many customers do you think we had? I ask questions just to wake you guys up. Any thoughts on how many customers on a nationwide NB-IoT network did I already have? One big zero. Nothing. We need to be sure on these technologies, as DK was right in saying that, business cases, but ecosystem has to arrive. You can create all this, but who's going to use all this? I mean, NB-IoT is not about putting the network, the low radiation network, therefore low battery consumption network. I've got it. Smart cities are only beginning to happen. A lot more of use cases of NB-IoT are only beginning to happen. We will have all of it at the right time, and we will put all that is required to lay foundation for all of this as we go along, is my assurance to all of you. We are already working on that. India's 5G opportunity, a lot spoken in lots of forums, but my perspective on that. You look at the IHS economic study, so you're talking of 3.5 trillion. Oh man, how many zeros are there? I don't know. 3.5 trillion dollars of an economy riding on 5G by 2035, not so long in future. That means adding to the world one more India. 3.5 trillion is just slightly larger than our current GDP. Yeah? So we're adding to the world one more India. Huge opportunity. India will get a proportionate share, or will we get a disproportionate share? Depends on how we play this game. Even if we got proportionate share alone, it's massive. But this is a technology that can help us get disproportionate. I'll talk a little more about my thoughts on that in a little while. Well, of course, we're talking of growth numbers coming in, whether you look at Gartner, you look at whoever else talking about it. This can help us, if played right, play to our ambitions on all the socio-economic ambitions we may have, or the socio-economic challenges we may have, whether it is education or health or logistics. This is an answer, or can be an answer to a lot of that. A lot of people I've met in various forums, including universities and colleges, when I go and talk to the upcoming next generation of leaders, talk about and worry about, a little bit concerned about, will all this artificial intelligence and robotics and machine learning that we talk about take away jobs? On the contrary, this can bring in a lot more jobs to a country like India. The world becomes not one market, one space, one single unified space. Anything that can happen here can be replicated at that moment, including the famous surgeries that we talk about, remote surgeries. I don't know, robotic surgeries, whether they'll happen. When that happens, it can happen by a doctor sitting in Just Loc or Breach Candy, attending to one customer, or one, sorry, patient in deep down rural of India. At the same time, up there in Manhattan. So you could be creating a space, a marketplace, which is very different from the boundaries we see it in today. If we saw BPO and then we saw KPO, this could be an entire solutions outsourcing, entire activity outsourcing that can happen from here real time and be performed, whether it is traffic control of the Moscow city or Cairo, where is it most craziest, Cairo maybe, can be done sitting here. From screens sitting here in our own country. So there's a lot of new age employment opportunities that can open up, or will open up, for the whole world, and India has to play its part in terms of getting its proportionate or even more Of course, the Digital India vision rides on 5G, and we can make it happen. Gopal used the word game changer, 5G being the game changer. It certainly will be on game changer for making Digital India or smart cities or Make in India. All of it will ride on 5G. But in a while, or actually right away, I talk about the use case. Now, I picked up this slide from a lot of online stuff floating around to see what are these use cases. So Gopal did allude to this, and actually did TK as well, on saying very restricted, very limited actually. But when we look at that from India point of view, what does 5G create? It creates enormous speeds. It creates a very fast, quick, that is low latency network, and it creates huge amount of capacity. What do you use it for? The world is talking about multi-layered gaming. Is that something India needs? We should be very clear on what are the use cases for India. What are we going to use 5G in India for? Do pilots of that, do POCs of that, proof of concepts of that, prepare ourselves for that. Otherwise, this will be one big network that you create with really no real usage. The transforming of India will not happen when you think of use cases sitting somewhere outside. I mean, the famous stuff on the dishwasher, super successful across the Western world. When you talk of India, the only big use case of dishwasher I last heard was making lassi in Punjab using the dishwasher. I mean, we get dishwashing services coming in twice a day into our homes, our apartments. Do we need a dishwasher? Or do we do something else, which with 5G would be very different? I mean, the latest one I was laughing about, and I ended up buying actually 4 of them, is the Car One. I mean, that Saregama music player. The whole world is busy downloading music on 4G, music on demand, and now you've got this traditional box line there. Very different use case, very differently packaged. So India is different, we are different, our challenges are different, our opportunities therefore are different as well. We need to spend this time on the build up to the 5G in terms of identifying exactly what will we do when we get that latency sub-millisecond. What will we do when we get hundreds of more times of capacity? What will we do when we get those speeds of giga happening on the mobile phone? Otherwise, we will be busy looking at these use cases and wonder why it did not tick in our context. Getting India ready for 5G. Now, again, a little bit of it will be repetition. I'll skip those when it comes to those because already Gopal has spoken on some of this. But we need to further empower the 5G high-level forum. We need to start thinking a lot more long-term, and a lot more contextual, a lot more India context, and therefore the 5G forum. Gopal talked of a need for huge backhaul capacity. This will mean we will need a lot more simplification of right-of-way. We need a unified fiber laying out policy, maybe framework, maybe initiatives. We need to work on that together because this is not going to happen with each company trying to create or dig the road on their own with all that is required in being able to dig a road in our country. We need the E and V bands allocation to happen very, very quickly as of yesterday, actually. We need that microwave because fiber will take time to happen, and E and V can really solve the problem. A lot of customer experience issues that we face today are not created because of radio capacity, but because of backhaul capacity. And E and V could answer that very quickly, very rapidly, so we need that. Right-of-way, Gopal talked about right-of-way, I touched upon. Underground and overground infrastructure, we need to place the policy infrastructure for that, and action that very, very quickly. Otherwise, we are losing time there. We need, of course, a lot more of harmonized, contiguous, interference-free and affordable. I'm really reading the wish list of the industry here in one sentence. Harmonized, contiguous, interface-free, and affordable spectrum allocated to for radio and for backhaul, so E and V. We need modest reserve prices. I was laughing with Balaji this morning. Modest, or that is if we need any prices. You've got to decide as a country, we got to decide as a country, is this a cash cow that you milk by milking the telecom companies and make revenue upfront? Or do you use telecom as an enabler for the whole country? There are nations that are known to not charge for spectrum. I'm going to be me, my company, but the whole industry is going to be plonking billions of dollars in making it happen. even after the spectrum was available. But if I plonk billions of dollars in getting the spectrum in, there's only so much one could afford in terms of rolling out the networks. So you've got to decide as a country as to what do we prefer. Ultimately, the revenues is there to be had for the country, for the exchequer. But do we want it upfront, or do we want it as a result of creating a critical infrastructure that 5G is about? Of course, a very progressive NDCP, the National Digital Communications Policy, has been laid out by the minister and the department, and we need to now see that being actioned, adopted very quickly. Parting thoughts from me, therefore, we should spend the coming years in really identifying India use cases, creating pilots, creating laboratories, creating proofs of concepts, getting ready to hit the ground running when 5G really happens. 2, since 5G is evolution and not revolution, doing all that can be done while 5G itself is not per se on in the country yet, which is enabling all the 5G building blocks on 4G itself, enabling most of the use cases. So you talk of network slicing, I don't need to wait for 5G. You talk of network slicing for giving away for gaming, I could do network slicing for giving away for managing the law enforcement in a Kumbh Mela today through 4G. We need to work towards finding all these, test those use cases out on the technology that exists, on the capacity that exists, on the infra and the equip that exists already on ground, rather than waiting for it. Put that to use. We need to restore the financial health of this sector. There is no 5G in reality if the sector struggles to be able to even find a case for rolling out or completing the 4G. We need to execute the NDCP, as I already said. Now, if I am what is standing between you and the minister, we need to find somebody else, because I am done. Thank you so much. And looking forward to working with all of you in the coming years in making Digital India happen. I count on the partnership and support from all of you, because me and my company can't do it alone. Thank you so much for being there for all these many years, and counting upon you for the coming years. Thank you.
Telecom News की report.
For the latest telecom news, subscribe to this channel now.